The Zephyrian fleet materialized from hyperspace with the precision of a clockwork mechanism, their sleek vessels forming a perfect battle formation around the lone human ship. Admiral Kexitar's mandibles clicked in satisfaction as he observed the primitive craft through his command deck's holographic display. A single vessel, his tactical officer reported, tentacles dancing over the bio-neural interface. Designation appears to be UES Defiance, crude fusion propulsion, basic, kinetic weaponry. This will be over quickly, Admiral. Kexitar had commanded the Zephyrian Third Fleet for over 2 decades, conquering 17 star systems for the Empire. Humans were the latest species to refuse the generous terms of subjugation, and now they would learn the price of defiance. The irony of their ship's name was not lost on him. "Begin standard scanning protocols," he ordered. "I want to know exactly what these primitives think they can accomplish with such outdated technology." The scanning beams lanced out from the Zephyrian flagship, penetrating deep into the human vessel's hull. What the scanners revealed made Kexitar's blood run cold. "Admiral," the tactical officer's voice trembled, "you need to see this." The holographic display filled with data streams, each one more horrifying than the last. The human ship wasn't just a warship. It was a tomb. The scanner readings showed deck after deck of what could only be described as monuments to violence. "These readings, they can't be accurate," Kexitar whispered, his usually steady voice cracking. But they were accurate. The human vessel contained a museum, a carefully curated collection of every weapon humanity had ever devised to kill their own kind. Ancient stone axes sat beside medieval swords. Primitive gunpowder weapons were displayed next to nuclear warheads. Chemical weapons, biological agents, and things the Zephyrian computer couldn't even identify filled the ship's holds. "Sir," the communications officer interrupted, her bioluminescent patches flickering with anxiety. "We're receiving a transmission from the human vessel." "Put it through," Kexitar managed to say. The image that appeared on the main screen was that of a middle-aged human female, her uniform crisp and her eyes holding a disturbing calm. Captain Sarah Chen smiled pleasantly at the alien fleet surrounding her ship. "Greetings," she said, her voice carrying the tone of someone discussing the weather. "I'm Captain Chen of the United Earthship Defiance. I see you've been scanning our vessel. I hope you found our little collection educational." Kexitar found his voice. "What is the meaning of this display? Are you trying to intimidate us? With your primitive weapons?" Captain Chen's smile never wavered. "Oh, these aren't meant to intimidate you, Admiral. They're meant to educate you. You see, these represent just a small fraction of the ways humans have found to kill each other over our brief history. We've been at war with ourselves for millennia, perfecting the art of destruction in ways that would make your nightmares seem like pleasant dreams." She gestured casually, and the camera panned across a section of the museum visible through the bridge's viewports. Weapons from every era of human conflict gleamed under the display lights. "The beautiful thing about fighting ourselves," Chen continued, "is that we've learned to adapt to every possible threat. Energy weapons? We developed them to fight other humans. Kinetic barriers? Same. Biological warfare, psychological warfare, economic warfare. We've mastered them all in conflicts against beings who think exactly like us." Kexitar's tactical officer was frantically running new calculations. "Admiral," he whispered, "urgently. If their historical records are accurate, these humans have been engaged in continuous warfare for over 5,000 years. The casualty rates, the innovations in killing technology, it's beyond anything in our databases." Chen seemed to hear the whispered conversation despite the closed channel. "Your tactical officer is quite astute, Admiral. We've killed over 1 billion of our own kind in just the last century. Not because we had to, but because we found reasons to. We've turned warfare into an art form, a science, and sometimes just A really bad habit we can't seem to break. The human captain leaned forward slightly, her expression becoming almost maternal. Now, you've come here to conquer us, to add us to your empire. I appreciate the gesture, truly I do. But here's the thing. We've spent our entire existence learning how to fight beings who use the same tactics we do, who think like we do, who are just as creative and vicious as we are. She paused, letting that sink in before delivering the final blow. You, on the other hand, have spent your time conquering species who surrender when faced with superior technology. You fight honorable wars with clear objectives against rational opponents who know when they're beaten. Her smile turned predatory. We are none of those things. Kextar's hands shook as more scanner data flowed across his screens. The human ship wasn't just carrying weapons, it was carrying ideas, battle strategies that defied logic, tactics that turned weakness into strength, technologies developed not for exploration or commerce, but purely for ending lives more efficiently. I'm going to give you one chance, Admiral, Chen said, her voice now carrying the weight of authority earned through countless conflicts. Turn your fleet around and leave. Tell your empire that humanity declined their generous offer. Find some other species to subjugate, preferably one that doesn't consider genocide a hobby. The transmission ended, leaving the Zephyrian bridge in stunned silence. Kextar stared at the human vessel, alone and outnumbered 1,000 to 1, yet somehow more terrifying than anything he'd encountered in 2 decades of conquest. His tactical computers were running scenarios, and every single one ended in catastrophic losses for the Zephyrian fleet. Not because the humans had better technology, but because they had something far more dangerous, experience in fighting, wars they shouldn't be able to win. Admiral, his second-in-command ventured, your orders? Kextar closed his eyes, feeling the weight of command in a way he never had before. When he opened them again, his decision was made. Signal the fleet, he said quietly. We're returning to Zephyrian space. Mark this system as unsuitable for colonization. As the alien fleet powered up their hyperdrive engines, Captain Chen watched from her bridge, still wearing that same pleasant smile. The museum around her stood testament to humanity's greatest talent. Not exploration, not diplomacy, not even survival. Their greatest talent was war. And they had just received their first lesson in teaching it to the stars.